Matt Meehan here for IrishBoxingCom. Delighted to be joined by the man himself, Club Lang, Shaun Kelly. How are things going, Shaun? A massive week for you and Dave Ryan. Co-op Arena, Manchester. Dave Ryan against Kaleel Majid. How's camp been?
Pretty good. Been pretty good. Can't argue with anything. Dave's in great nick. His weight is brilliant. We've just actually spent the last half hour strolling around Manchester. He's in good form. He's on weight. Life is good, and he looks big and strong. So let's hope the best version of Dave shows up on Saturday night, and we can give Kaleel all sorts of trouble.
Give us a bit of an insight into what's been going on behind closed doors for Dave Ryan in camp. Obviously, as you for head gaffer.
Look, basically, we know David. We know the type of fighter he is. Okay, he's not going to stand back and try outbox Kaleel, right? Kaleel is I would have down as a negative kind of a boxer, whereas Dave is an aggressor. So we're going to work to our strengths, and we're going to try put him on the back foot pretty early, And basically, I'm not going to give too much away, but I think Dave wears his heart on his sleeve when he fights, and I think we all know the type of fighter he is, so we can expect what we're going to see.
Is a possibility of a stoppage? Do you think, or
Well,
you know?
the way boxing is at the moment, okay, I think if we can get a stoppage, we're definitely going to jump on it. We've been working on certain things. We've been looking at Kelly's weaknesses, and we're going to try counter them. And if certain things work our way and we can hurt them at any point, we're 100% going to jump on it because the way boxing is at the moment, we can't leave anything down to judges. We're in his hometown as well, And to be honest with you, looking at his last fight against was it Alex Murphy? He fought
Alex
against.
Murphy, yeah, yeah.
That was a close fight, man. Alex Murphy could have nicked that fight. He could have nicked that fight, and I'm not saying it was a robbery by any stretch, but it was a close fight. So we're not gonna leave anything to chance. If we do get the chance, we're gonna take it with both hands.
Um, how's Graham been? The last time that we've seen him.
Graham was great. Graham was absolutely brilliant. He's as good as he's ever been. I think the best thing that ever happened to Graham was getting his jaw wired shut for 6 weeks, so I didn't have to listen to him.
No, just talk to us. Graham is hinting at coming back. Those rumors of him that he
Well,
wants
look,
the he wants an Irish title. So
Graham is in the
yeah,
shape of his life, in the absolute shape of his life. We've been training. We trained the whole summer. Me and Graham, we were doing compound strength training the whole summer. He's after whipping himself into tremendous shape. We went up to the National Stadium at Jay Burns' last show, which was a fantastic show, probably the best show I've seen in Ireland in a long time. And looked at a couple of fights. I thought Sean Murray and Peter Carr was a great fight. That was a great fight, and I'd happily throw Graham in with either of those guys tomorrow.
is there any early negotiations going on with either of them men that you know of?
Well, look, like I said, if there was, I wouldn't like to speak about it so early, But like I said, either of those lads, after seeing that fight, I would have been happy to put Graham in with either of those guys as a comeback fight.
Yeah.
And even Peter Carr seems to be a real character, and we all know Graham has bags of charisma. So I think a build up between those two would be pretty fun to watch.
Keane Hedeman's on the rise at the moment. A great lad. You spent many minutes, hours with them, laughing and training and everything else in between. What's it like being to see him now as a pro?
Keane is flying it. Like the only way Keane is going is to the top, and that's down to nobody, only Keane Heatherman, and that's his mentality. He's the most down to earth, level headed kid I've ever met in my life, and he's so focused and he's self driven. He's an amazing kid. He's an absolutely amazing kid. And I call him extremely talented, but he also works extremely hard as well. He's one of the hardest workers I know. And like I said, with his drive, I can't see him going anywhere but to the top. And like I said, two stoppages early in his career, which is it's really good to see. Like he's starting to put a bit of spite into his punches. He's a
Against
great.
tough opposition as well.
Yeah, So yeah, there seems to be a bit of talk of a show in Limerick, after Christmas, and if that does materialise, wouldn't it be great to see some? Because like Limerick is packed with talent at the moment, absolutely packed with talent,
Yeah. Like I guess it's a proud moment for you as well if that show comes off because you're a proud Limerick man. You're based in the centre of Limerick, a
I'm a
Limerick
very,
show.
very proud Limerick man. I also I've got a boxing club with 50 amateur boxers in it as well, who would all be happy to go and around the corner and see all the guys who they see and train with fight in action in their hometown.
Paddy Donovan as well, a young lad who trained in your gym, spent many hours in your gym. And one lad I know that you're very close with. Again, two massive fights that he's had in the past. unlucky in the last time in Windsor Park. Just your opinion on
And
those?
look, call a spade a spade. As we just spoke about with David, you asked, would we take a stoppage victory? I think at this stage of boxing, everyone's going to have to take a stoppage victory if possible. Like, Belfast has robbed Paddy Donovan of his career to date. You know what I mean? With the first fight, okay, you can say that shot was on the bell. Shot may have been a second after the bell. Referee didn't act accordingly. He never gave the time necessary to Crocker, and he never gave the 5 minutes which the rule book allows to recover. Just fuck Paddy clean, or excuse my language, he thrown Paddy clean out of the ring. He was against him from word go. You know, there was 2 minutes with the clash of the heads, and that's regarding the first fight. As for the second fight, okay, hats off to Lewis Crocker, hats off to Billy Nelson, which is someone I wouldn't really say hats off to. They changed their game plan, and it worked to a point where they didn't get beat up. But it still didn't work to the point where they won the rounds. They won 2 rounds. One of the knockdowns you could probably call a slip, but we'll give them that round anyway. The other knockdown was a heavy knockdown, and in all honesty, the bell came at the right time because, you know, it was a heavy knockdown. But Paddy won 10 rounds to 2, and it's as simple as that. 10 rounds to 2, I'm giving Paddy. Maybe 9 rounds to 3 at a push. So, like, where the judging got their scorecards on it was absolutely scandalous. Like, for me, every boxing man on the panel said Paddy won the fight. The only person who seemed to want to say that the fight was one fair and square by Crocker was the promoter, but that's obviously because Crocker sells 20,000 tickets. You know what I mean? So, you know, like I said, it's unfortunate in boxing that sometimes the best fighter doesn't always get the result. It's the guy who puts most bums on seats, and that's just the way it is. It's a business and not a sport.
Paddy coming up as a young lad, though, what was it like to train
But
Paddy and to have Paddy in the gym?
I'm watching Paddy boxing since he's 5 and 6 years old, literally in nappies. I trained with his dad. His dad trained me. Me and his dad used to be sparring partners. And Paddy was an exceptional talent all the way up. Like, he's one of the first 11 and 12-year-olds I used to see dropping guys with body shots. He was just tremendous talent, absolutely amazing, amazing to watch.
When you looked at him when he was 11, 12, 13, did you kind of see something in him, Shaun?
I think everybody's seen something in him. He was just such a slick southpaw. He used to box like Prince Nazim, hands down, full of confidence. And then as he grew up, he just developed this vicious left hand where he was just dropping guys. You don't see many amateurs dropping guys. And Paddy was dropping guys, and he was dropping them with big sparring gloves on and things like that. He was a tremendous talent, and still to this day, an absolute tremendous talent who I fully believe is the best fighter in Ireland. And I do believe that he's been robbed of his chance of being a world champion through no
Do you
fault
think
of
he
his.
can come again?
Well, look, Paro's a tough fight. It's a tough fight, but I do think over Paro coming up to weights, I don't think he's going to be able to stand. Look, Paro's going to come one way, as we'd imagine. He's going to have to come and take Paddy on, which will suit Paddy. Now, the one worry you would have is if the fight is in Australia. We've seen some contentious decisions in Australia over the years, you know, and you know, boxing is just like I said, it's just such a hard game. When it goes to the scorecard, you just don't know what's going to happen anymore. So,
Yeah.
like you said, knockouts are going to have to win fights going forward to make things fair.
Shaun, one last question on that now. What can we expect to see from David Ryan from a coach's perspective? Everything that you can tell us about whatsoever.
We've been working on certain things. Like I said, like you've seen firsthand, the real David Ryan and Tony McGlynn are probably one of the best fights you're ever going to see. And
Yeah.
Tony McGlynn is a great fighter, and they had a great fight. And like I said, a guy who I hold in the highest standing, of the utmost respect for him. Tony, great fighter. And him and David had a great fight. You've seen it firsthand yourself. We've seen David out against Colin Carney last time, who didn't get a fair shake again. Like, David was penciled in to fight Regan Clacken, a light welterweight at his own weight, pulled out the very last minute with no excuse given. So he had to take on Colin Carney, who was a weight above. Well, David was winning the round, got caught with a shot, and similar again, the way boxing is, referee just decided to jump in with about 5 seconds left in the round. Well, I thought it was an unjust stoppage at the time as well. But look, come here, this is the sport we're in, this boxing. What can we do? So I'm looking for David to bounce back. He's down at his own natural weight of light welterweight. He's in with Kaleel, who's a very technical, good boxer, but not a massive puncher. So we're hoping to get inside him, outwork him, outcraft him, and just basically outdog him. That is the plan, you know what I mean? And like I said, it's 10 round fight, and 10 rounds, Dave will do it his ease. We know that. So we're going to have to drag him into deep waters and ask questions of him. And if we can do that, let's hope we're on course for a good win. Because if we can get a good win, it's going to change David's career overnight.
Shaun Kelly, really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks a million, Matt. God bless, right?